we might be predisposed as human beings to certain resonance and frequency. We might be predisposed as human beings to pride and to put emphasis on logical relationship and stability. There's arguments for this, which I'm not going to get into here. But the idea is that the artist draws from historical events, from logical relations, from literature, from what have you, and creates things which effectively transcend time, right? If you're good, it's not an easy thing to do. All right, so I mean that's you know, that's my bit. Number 3, bullet point 3. Question is, what is art? And the answer is, art is actually in the artwork. As I said, right? Art is in the artwork. I think the description that we did a few hours back on the shoe, the peasant woman's shoe, is just such a perfect example, and I really want to commend, he's dead now, but I want to commend Heidegger for that, right? Because the presentation of the peasant woman's shoe, for someone who has never seen a peasant woman in the field, the presentation of her shoe allows me to pause from the everydayness of my existence to recognize that she doesn't see it. She literally doesn't see it, as we've already discussed, right? She puts on the shoe, and the shoe becomes, as we said, right, this is the idea of becoming. The shoe becomes part of her body. It becomes an extension of her body, such that the shoe, when it is functioning properly in terms of an aesthetic, and this is so important, right? The shoe, when it's functioning properly in terms of an aesthetic, is not subject to our cognition. The peasant woman isn't aware of the fact that she has on a shoe. Think of the implications of that. Think of the implications of that. A couple months back, I was reading about neuroscientists, I think at Duke, who is working on trying to get paralyzed people mobile via a bodysuit. So you put on this mechanical body, and we now know that there is huge strides being made in neuro and cognitive science where just by thinking you can move mechanical objects. So the idea is, maybe in my lifetime, which would be for me the all-time greatest invention, and I wouldn't mind checking out after that. But, you know, it was sci-fi when I was a kid, but it could really happen in my lifetime, that you could create a suit where someone who's paralyzed puts on this suit and thinks, and your thought moves an arm that would otherwise not move, or moves a leg that would otherwise not move, and that people could become mobile. Insofar as the individual puts on that suit, think about this now, think about this, and how this directly applies. Insofar as the individual puts on the suit the first day, and starts thinking, and there goes the arm moves, and there goes the leg moves, it's sort of cumbersome, I would imagine, right? And the individual, while wearing the suit, is continuously aware of the fact that they have on a suit. So that the suit is disassociated from the individual. I am wearing a suit. Now, you can imagine that the more the individual wears the suit, the more the individual, and it might get to the point where you can just keep it on, right? The more the individual wears the suit, and the more effective the suit is, mechanically, in translating my sort of neurocognitive impulses into mechanical action, is the less aware I'm going to be of having on the suit. And the argument is, there could potentially come a point at which the individual has on a suit and forgets that I put on the suit, and maybe I put on a suit. Yeah, I put on a mechanical suit, and then maybe I put on a business suit over it, so that my mechanical suit, which mobilizes my otherwise paralyzed body, is underneath a business suit, and I totally forget. And I'm walking around the world, I'm doing stuff in the world. This would be so cool to see in visual. I mean, it would just be amazing. And, you know, you're totally oblivious to the fact that you were otherwise paralyzed. And then I would imagine that the person, something triggers their mind and they're like, oh right, that's right. I forgot I was paralyzed. I forgot, holy crap, I forgot I had on the suit because I was, you know, I caught the bus and I went to the train and I'm walking up the stairs and I don't think about it, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, that's right, I can't believe that if I didn't have this technology, I wouldn't even be able to move. It's that recognition that, as Heidegger says, the equipment, right, the shoe being the equipment, or in this terms, this mechanical suit of mobilization, the equipment, when it is functioning properly, is not, and this is going to be profoundly interesting with respect to the fact that the equipmentality for Heidegger requires, the functioning equipmentality for Heidegger requires that I am not conscious of its functioning. But it's precisely in the case of this sort of mobile bodysuit, it's precisely the case that its functioning is required. It requires me thinking. So I don't know how that's going to unfold. I think it's going to be nothing short of beauty once they work out the kinks. Hence, I think the aesthetics and the aesthetic value is going to be, for me personally, the greatest aesthetic achievement of human existence if they can pull this off. Up and above any sort of mechanical or engineering feat. But the idea is the artist demonstrates that ability, right? So that those who engineered this equipment demonstrate their profound mastery of really the human body by mobilizing a body that otherwise cannot be mobilized. I mean, there is no greater demonstration, I think, than that, right? It's an amazing thing. It would be a beautiful thing to observe. Okay, so number 4, the fourth bullet point, is a direct quote from the text. The work is to be released, right? The work, the essence of the work is to be released by the artist to its pure self-subsistence. The artist remains inconsequential to the work, right? The idea is, what Heidegger is saying here, is that this release of the work, undeniably, he says the artist is inconsequential, but me personally, my interpretation isn't that the art could manifest independent to the artist, because obviously we're talking about human constructs for humans, right? Aesthetics is contingent on cognition. We recognize beauty in the world, which I'm not going to go into the fact of whether animals can or cannot do this, because I don't have sufficient knowledge to make claims on sort of animal aesthetics, if it even exists, but which it might to some extent. There is a sense in which the artist releases the work, right? And the essence of the work, as I said, might be, and this should be clear, right? The essence of my work is, my actual work, my demonstration, these videos, is contingent on every second of every video of every hundreds of hours of videos that I already have up, is a means of destabilizing and otherwise demarcation, right? Undermining the demarcation between those who have educational opportunity from those who don't have educational opportunity, with the utopist vision, which I know won't be realized, but at least my effort will be there, is to completely make education accessible to all, as much as possible, provided obviously you have internet, which is itself problematic, right? But the idea is that there is a mode in which it's not just about me. There's many other people that are doing, in their institutions, that are doing exactly what I'm doing, right? The idea is that the artist, essentially, it's not about the particular artist, right? It's I hate to say inconsequential. I might disagree with Heidegger a little bit at this point, but I know what he's saying, is that it's not really about the artist, right? The intent of the artist, what I intended the piece to represent. You might look at my videos and think that my videos mean something else, or the purpose or the drive or the motivation for these videos, which is a huge question. Like, why is Dr. Campbell doing all of this work? There has to be something that's motivating him. There has to be something that's fueling him. There has to be an essence that informs his actions, and he's obviously done this a lot. Why the hell is he doing all of this stuff, right? Well, the idea is it's not really about me, is what Heidegger's saying, right? It's not really about the artist. Why Guernica was painted, why the image of the shoe was painted, why an artist does an installment of